I'm pleased to welcome back Charles McElwee. He is a vice president with the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum, and he's here to talk about the history of our area. Now, last time you were here, we were talking about entertainment because the Oscars are right around the corner, and you started with vaudeville in our area, how this area was so known for vaudeville. Now you want to take that next step into the actual movie theaters, that there were so many in our area.
Yeah, so let's go into the second phase, and we'll use an old-fashioned term here. It was the age of the talkies for Hazleton. So we're talking post-World War I, when the industry was advancing, and this technological marvel, the ability to show moving action pictures, came to the city. So the major theater at the time in the 1910s, early 1920s, was the Feely Theater, a magnificent structure that I'm sure many people remember. It stood until the early 1980s, where the parking lot is across the street from Frankie's and the Standard Speaker building. And that was constructed with over 1 million bricks and 500 tons of steel. It was an architectural marvel, and really a magnificent building. And I'm sure people also remember that was where the Maguire's movie premiered in 1970. So in addition to that, there was what's considered the most elegant theater, which was the Capitol in downtown Hazleton on Broad Street. And that was opened by M.E. Comerford, who was really taking over the film industry in the Mid-Atlantic. And he built this opulent structure. And he really was to the region what, I guess, Joe Kennedy was to Hollywood. So in the 1920s, 1930s, Joe Kennedy, the patriarch of the political dynasty, really took over Hollywood with RKO Studios. Comerford was taking over all these communities with movie theaters. And that stood until, unfortunately, it burned down in the 1980s as well. To go to these theaters wasn't just to watch a movie, it was an experience. To take in really a work of art that surrounded you as you watched the movie. And then the other theaters opened as well. Of course, the Hersker Theater, which still stands and remains a cinema, and so many. So we're talking about over 8 to 9 movie theaters within a 1-mile radius.
Yeah, so the Hersker right now, the Cinnamon Draft House. There was also the Churchill Mall Theater that for many people, you know, it was right down there behind, I guess, right now where the Chinese restaurant is.
Right, so that was the late 1960s, also opened by the Hersker family. And that was when the movie era was transitioning. So really by the 1950s, 1960s, the big picture era was kind of declining. And we've really been watching the transition ever since, and we're now living in this age of streaming where people are no longer necessarily going to movie theaters. They're just streaming the films from their devices, and oftentimes movies are just, instead of being released in the theater, released on Netflix, Hulu, whichever streaming platform.
All righty. If you want to see movies today, it's either the Cinnamon Draft House or Regal Theaters here in our area, but it's nice to look back at what used to be right here in the Hazleton area.